The cost of the materialistic ideology of the United States on the environment. How this all came to be can date back to about the Industrial Revolution, when people were trying to get the economy moving, they were trying to get more money into the economy. That is about when the tables turned from being more home functioning and making their own items and making do with what they had, to going out to stores and constantly buying stuff. Less of the old sewing machine at home, doing your own stuff. People were essentially, quote unquote, brainwashed into continuously buying these products by ad men. These ad men made you feel like you needed this item, and that without this item, your life was lacking in some way or another. And then came about latest method ideology. And this concept was to introduce new and improved items in order to allow people to continuously be buying products and cycling through them as trends changed, as technology changed. And a big part of that came when they would make outside differences to these products, so people would know if you had the older model versus the newest model because it didn't look the same. And at that point, it became more of fitting in rather than buying it because it was necessary. The material cycle is the cycle that all items go through in order to become from wherever they originated to your hands. In the material cycle, the first step is extraction. This is removing the resources needed to create the product from its natural environment, because whether it's a tree, it's paper, it needs water, it needs any given resources, it has to originate from somewhere, and we have to essentially remove something from the environment in order to create these products. The US itself only accounts for 5% of the population, and yet they use 30% of the world's resources. If all countries functioned the way the US does surrounding resources, it would take 3 to 5 Earths to sustain us. We're just simply running out of resources faster than they can replenish, and not all of these resources that are being used are even replenishable. Then comes production, and production is one of the harshest parts as far as creating climate changing greenhouse gases. 45% of the global greenhouse gases come from production of everyday use items, such as your sponge, your dishwasher soap, the basic things you use every day in today's society to function. The fashion industry is a huge polluter when it comes to production as well. They're a huge polluter all around, but they are often the reason for water pollution. It's very much not uncommon to see waterways that are close to the fashion industry be polluted with dyes and chemicals that lead to the death of fish, the undrinkable water. In fact, today, 40% of all U.S. waterways are becoming undrinkable. Granted, that's not solely due to the fashion industry, but just due to the consumerist society as a whole, and causing us to pollute garbage into the waterways, killing different animals. Our chemicals are being spilled. All of these chemicals are being used to produce something, whether it's energy, whether it's clothes, whether it's your plastic plates or paper napkins. And the chemicals that are being put into those water are the same chemicals that workers within these factories are being exposed to. And the fact of the matter is, what goes in or what goes around comes around. Therefore, if we are putting chemicals in these factories and these people are being exposed to these chemicals, those clothes that are coming from those factories are being exposed to those chemicals too. It is not uncommon to see clothes recalled. In fact, in the US, there was just a huge recall on some Disney children's clothes that little children wear, that had traces of lead and were leading to lead poisoning in kids. Once they're produced, we distribute these items. Distribution takes place in cars, trucks, planes, ships, trains. All of them cause some sort of pollution. The distribution side doesn't create as much pollution as the production side, but there's still pollution being added into our environment just for the fact of people being able to get their items. The admin steps in a lot here by trying to get the product to be desired and needed and wanted, so that way these items can be distributed across and consumed by people. They're able to use cheap cost tactics that make people think that, oh, I need this item and it's only $9.99. It's only $35.99. These cheap costs, while it would take more for all these items, are due to the externalized expenses. They're able to externalize the cost of the land that they borrowed or they took or used up at that point. There's cheap, unhealthy labor from the production side of things where they don't have to pay average costs. These employees are paying their own health care, which is a cost they can write off. Consumption is, once we are convinced that we need this item, we're going to get it. The satisfaction that people get from consumption is what leads them to continuously be buying stuff. After you buy everything you need, your laundry soap, your sponges, your pots and pans, the basic necessities in today's society, people continue buying stuff for social status. They buy the newest phone. They buy fancy decorations for their house and stuff that's not necessarily green. At the point we are at, consuming green simply isn't enough to stop the harm that we're doing with the creation of these items anyways. Another thing is these trends are ever changing. Trends are circling back. However, what's cool this year might not be cool next year or the year after. And people want to fit in. People have a desire to fit in, and so they will continuously buy the newest trends, the newest model iPhone, the newest Apple Watch, the newest laptop, all of those things. When it comes to disposing of these items, every product approximately creates 6.3 times its weight in carbon emissions by the end of its life cycle. So from the time that it was being produced to the time that it's in a landfill creating methane gas. And with the ever-changing fashion industry, it's about 68 pounds of clothing thrown away per person per year. And then comes holidays. Holidays are a high consumer time. You got Black Friday, you got your holiday deals, you got your Cyber Monday. People are buying more stuff than they usually would, leading to more waste than they usually would have, including 25% more waste solely between Thanksgiving and New Year's Day from each person. There's also 38,000 miles of ribbon being thrown away, 100 pounds of food per person being thrown away, as well as 2 billion Christmas cards. That doesn't even include statistics on the amount of wrapping paper, the amount of gift baits, and the amount of bows that are being just tossed into the trash. There are some solutions to fix these issues, though. We can create green habits, buying used, donating instead of throwing away these still usable items. So just because you don't like it today doesn't mean someone else might not want it. Shopping at thrift stores is a great way to get these items and a great way to pass on your items to someone else who might be able to enjoy them. We can also use reusable containers or reusable bags instead of using those plastic containers. So throw out styrofoam bags, especially at holidays. There's going to be leftovers. People get sent home with leftovers, and instead of sending them home with something that has to be thrown away after they use it, we can send them home with some Tupperware. Maybe do a Tupperware share. There's a few different examples I read about in my research. Then there's some help the government could do. There is incentivizing companies to make products that last longer, so that way we're not constantly cycling through products, throwing them away. However, a lot of solutions to this problem would go against the social norm. It would involve a change of lifestyle, and not everyone is as open to making that change. However, it is possible. The same way that you create a habit to wake up every day and go for a run, you can create a habit to live a greener life when it comes to your consumeristic activities.